Hey guys, welcome to techENT. I'm Jeevan and this is your download for the week of 23rd of March. So, this week seems to be one of the most eventful weeks we've had in a long time. I mean, we've had everything from local launches to international launches, and even some things happening in the background. Let's kick off the news by covering one of the largest launches we've had this week, which is Huawei's P40 series. The P40 series was just launched a few days ago, and there are three variants in this new series: the P40, the P40 Pro, and the P40 Pro Plus. Now, all the devices in the series will be 5G capable because they are running on Huawei's high silicon Kirin 990 5G processor. When it comes to storage, there's a few variants for each device. The P40 will have 128 gigs at its least. This will be paired with 6 gigs of RAM. But when we move on to the P40 Pro and the Pro Plus, we see it go up to 8 gigs of RAM. And then we have 256 and 512 gigabytes of storage available for the P40 Pro and the Pro Plus. Whereas the P40 Pro caps up at about 256 gigabytes of storage. When it comes to screen size, the P40 Pro comes with a 6.1 inch OLED display, whereas the P40 Pro and the Pro Plus come with a 6.5 inch OLED display, which is DCI-P3 compliant, which means that we get better color accuracy on this display. And these variants of the P40 will actually have 90Hz refresh rate and HDR10+. On the other hand, the P40 will lack these features. Now, when it comes to batteries, we have a 3800 mAh battery on the P40, whereas the P40 Pro and the Pro Plus come with 4200 mAh batteries. But that is not why we are excited about the P series from Huawei. Huawei is again partnering with Leica to bring better camera performance. This year, the hallmark of the P series is Huawei's 50 megapixel sensor, which comes with omnidirectional phase detection autofocus. This sensor comes with one of the largest pixel sizes in any smartphone camera. Aside from this, each variant of the P40 will have a multi-camera setup. The P40 will pair this 50 megapixel sensor with an 8 megapixel telephoto sensor, which has 3x zoom, and a 16 megapixel ultra wide sensor. Whereas when it comes to the P40 Pro, the 50 megapixel sensor is paired with a 40 megapixel ultra wide sensor, a 12 megapixel periscope sensor capable of 5 times zoom, and a time of flight 3D sensor. Whereas on the Pro Plus, it will have Huawei's first penta camera. It has 5 sensors: the 50 megapixel sensor, the 8 megapixel telephoto sensor with 3x zoom, a 40 megapixel ultra wide sensor, a 8 megapixel periscope sensor with 10x zoom, and a time of flight 3D sensor. Now, these phones pack a punch when it comes to performance, but we're excited to get it in our hands for review. Now, the P40 will be starting at a price of 799 euros. That's about 3,800 ringgit. Whereas the P40 Pro will start at 999 euros. That's about 4,700 ringgit. The P40 Pro Plus will come in at about 1,399 euros. That's 6,600 ringgit thereabouts. It's really going to cost a lot to own a P40 this year, but once we get official word of Malaysian pricing, we will definitely update you guys. Aside from that, Huawei also announced Celia, their own AI. So this is basically Huawei's answer to Google Assistant or Samsung's Bixby. You tell it what you want it to do and it's able to intelligently respond. Next, we have the Xiaomi Redmi Note 9S. Yes, you heard me correctly. Xiaomi has added another device into the Redmi Note 9 series, which was just launched last week. The Note 9S runs on the Snapdragon 720G and it comes in two storage variants. It has 64 gigs paired with 4 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs paired with 6 gigs of RAM. Now the hallmark of this device again is the camera. It comes with a 48 megapixel sensor paired with an 8 megapixel ultra wide sensor, a 5 megapixel macro sensor and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. On the front, it has a 16 megapixel sensor and it's powered by a 5020 milliamp hour battery. This device is already available and in the market for 799 ringgit for the 64 gig version and 899 for the 128 gig version. Moving on, we also have Realme, who revealed a new flagship, the Realme 6. This particular device is powered by the MediaTek Helio G90T and comes only in 4 gigs with 1 to 8 gigabytes of internal storage. Now this is specifically for the Malaysian market. In other markets, yes, there are other variants of this device, but all of them come with a 64 megapixel sensor, an 8 megapixel ultra wide sensor, 2 megapixels macro and 2 megapixels depth sensor. It comes with a side-mounted fingerprint sensor and 4300 milliamp hours of battery. So right before I shot this video, Xiaomi announced their new Mi 10 series. The Mi 10 series comes with two devices, the Mi 10 and the Mi 10 Pro, which come with the Snapdragon 865. Now these are 5G capable phones, but they both come with 8 gigs of RAM. The Mi 10 specifically comes with 128 and 256 gigs of internal storage, whereas the 10 Pro only has the 256 option. Both of them come with 6.67 inch Full HD Plus screens with 90 Hz refresh rate. Now the hallmark of these phones are the cameras. It uses the same 108 megapixel sensor as the S20 series. Now, aside from this, the cameras on the devices are different. So they are both having quad camera setups. The hallmark of which is, of course, the 108 megapixel sensor. Similar to Samsung's setup, it actually combines 4 pixels into 1 pixel. Now, the Mi 10 has a 13 megapixel ultra wide sensor, a 2 megapixel depth sensor and a 2 megapixel macro sensor, whereas the Mi 10 Pro comes with a 20 megapixel ultra wide sensor, a 12 megapixel telephoto with 2x zoom and an 8 megapixel telephoto with 5x zoom. Both these devices have something called a hardware flicker sensor. Now Xiaomi is touting this as a sensor that will automatically detect the refresh rates of screens so that when you take a picture of a screen you don't get that line in between. Other than that, it's a dual speaker phone. Now the Mi 10 will retail for 799 euros, whereas the Mi 10 Pro comes in at 999 euros. So that works out to be about 3,800 ringgit and about 4,700 ringgit. They also announced the Mi 10 Lite. They were literally light on details when it came to what comes in this phone. We know that it's powered by the Snapdragon 765G processor, which is also 5G capable. And it has a 16 megapixel camera sensor on the front, whereas on the back the main sensor is a 40 megapixel sensor. While we don't really have full details of the Mi 10 Lite, we will update you once we know more. So aside from all those launches, we also have a little bit more somber news. Of course, this has to do with COVID-19 updates. Now, the first thing that you would have realized this week is the Olympics have been postponed. in light of the COVID-19 situations. And as you can see, I am not in the studio. We're still under a controlled movement order in Malaysia, which is essentially a lighter way of saying lockdown. Movement outside the house has been limited, but we are still pushing on with our content. Now, aside from this, in a little bit more good news, there is something called Fold at Home, which you can download and help out with. Fold at Home is an initiative by molecular biologists. Now, these are people that study cells and proteins at a molecular level. And what they have been doing is that they have technically crowdsourced computing capacity to help decode and understand the workings of the COVID-19 virus, the SARS-CoV-2 virus. If you feel like you want to help out, you can go download Fold at Home and lend your computer when you're not using it. So it will use your processor and graphics processor in the background. Now, what's very exciting about this is the amount of people that have been helping has resulted in this particular project actually exceeding 1.5 exaflops. It's actually one of the highest processing capabilities, even outclassing some of the largest supercomputers in the world right now. And this is distributed computing, essentially crowdsourced computing. Now, if you want to help out, the link for the app is in the description below. The other thing that has happened because of COVID-19 is apparently the demand on the internet has increased. There are estimates that internet traffic has increased by about 30%, and we are seeing services like YouTube and Netflix be affected by this. YouTube has said that it will be limiting bandwidth usage by defaulting to standard definition, especially in Europe, whereas Netflix went down for a bit on the 26th of March. In other rather inspiring news, Dyson has actually agreed to manufacture about 15,000 ventilators for the UK. They will be helping out with the UK's health system and dealing with the COVID-19 situation there. Aside from that, locally, Samsung also announced the Samsung Galaxy M31. Now, this is their new affordable range of phones. It comes with a full HD plus Super AMOLED display, a 32 megapixel front-facing camera, and a quad camera setup with a 64 megapixel main sensor, 8 megapixel ultra-wide sensor, 5 megapixel depth sensor, and a 5 megapixel macro sensor. It has a 6,000 milliamp hour battery and will run you about 1,099 ringgit. It is available now, online only. And finally, we have another piece of news which has Samsung related to it. Features from the S20 series will be making it to the Note 10 series and the S10 series, specifically the single take feature, night hyperlapse, and pro video. The S10 will also have an improved night mode, whereas both the Note 10 series and the S10 series will be getting the intelligent gallery. Now, don't forget to keep up with us on our social media because we have a whole lot of things happening in techENT, as well as all the tech news that you'll need. Also, this week we had live stream podcasts on YouTube for Tech and Tonic. If you missed it, the audio is up on Spotify, Breaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you listen to your podcast. If it's not on your favorite platform, let us know through a tweet or in the comments below, and we will try to get it on the platform as soon as we can. This week, we'll be talking to somebody from My Grocer, specifically CEO Stefan, and we're looking forward to asking him how the company has been dealing with the situation in Malaysia. Now, don't forget to follow us on all our socials to keep up with what's happening at techENT. And also, don't forget to give us a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for our YouTube channel. Do subscribe and follow us on all our social medias. Again, I'm Jeevan, and this has been your techENT Download. We'll see you in the next one.